Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today, we have an important topic to discuss that affects many relationships: trauma bonds. In this video, we'll be exploring the signs that indicate you might be caught in a trauma bond rather than experiencing genuine love. So, let's dive right in. Before we begin, let's clarify what a trauma bond is. It's a deep emotional connection that forms between two individuals who have experienced a traumatic event together or have a history of unresolved emotional pain. This bond can often be mistaken for love, leading to confusion and potential harm. Here are 8 signs that can help you identify if you're in a trauma bond rather than a healthy, loving relationship. Sign 1: intense highs and lows. One of the most notable signs of a trauma bond is the presence of intense highs and lows in the relationship. At times, you may feel an overwhelming sense of euphoria, deep connection, and passion with your partner. These moments can be exhilarating and may make you believe that you've found true love. However, these highs are often short-lived and quickly followed by devastating lows. These lows can leave you feeling drained, anxious, or even depressed. The extreme emotional roller coaster becomes a recurring pattern, and you find yourself constantly yearning for those fleeting moments of bliss, hoping they will outweigh the pain and turmoil. The intense highs and lows of a trauma bond are not healthy indicators of love. In a healthy relationship, there is a sense of emotional stability and consistency. Genuine love is characterized by mutual respect, trust, and support, rather than an addictive cycle of extreme emotions. Recognizing and acknowledging these intense fluctuations in your relationship is the first step toward understanding that you may be trapped in a trauma bond rather than experiencing authentic love. Sign 2: constant drama. A significant sign that you may be caught in a trauma bond is the prevalence of constant drama within your relationship. Arguments, conflicts, and intense emotional reactions become a regular occurrence, making it challenging to establish a sense of stability and peace. The relationship may feel like a never-ending cycle of chaos and turmoil, where every interaction becomes a potential trigger for explosive emotions. This constant drama can be addictive, as it creates a heightened sense of intensity and emotional arousal, which may be mistaken for passion or love. However, it is essential to recognize that healthy relationships are built on communication, understanding, and the ability to resolve conflicts in a respectful and constructive manner. Constant drama is a hallmark of a trauma bond. Instead of fostering a nurturing and supportive environment, the relationship is characterized by ongoing tension, heated arguments, and frequent emotional turmoil. The drama can manifest in various ways, such as manipulation, power struggles, or emotional outbursts. The cycle of drama becomes a norm, leaving you emotionally exhausted and constantly on edge. This consistent chaos not only hinders personal growth and happiness but also distracts from addressing the underlying issues that are fueling the trauma bond. Recognizing the presence of constant drama is crucial in understanding that this pattern is not a healthy foundation for a loving and fulfilling relationship. Sign 3: dependence on the abuser. One of the key signs of a trauma bond is a strong dependence on the abuser or the person who caused the trauma. In a trauma bond, you may find yourself relying on them for your emotional well-being, seeking validation and approval from them. This dependency can develop due to the intense emotional connection established during the traumatic experience or the belief that the abuser is the only one who can understand and support you. As a result, you may feel trapped in a cycle where your self-worth becomes intertwined with their validation, making it difficult to break free from the bond. It's important to recognize that healthy relationships are built on interdependence, where both partners support and empower each other rather than relying on one person for their emotional stability. Dependence on the abuser in a trauma bond often leads to a loss of personal agency and autonomy. Your decisions and actions may revolve around pleasing the abuser or avoiding their displeasure, leading to a distorted sense of self. This reliance can create a sense of powerlessness and contribute to feelings of anxiety and fear when considering leaving the relationship. Breaking free from the dependence on the abuser requires building a strong support system, re-establishing personal boundaries, and rediscovering your own worth independent of their validation. Remember, true love should empower and uplift you, rather than leaving you feeling dependent and constrained. Sign 4. Fear of abandonment. A prevalent sign of a trauma bond is the intense fear of abandonment that often accompanies the relationship. This fear stems from the deep emotional connection formed within the bond, making it incredibly difficult to consider leaving, even when the relationship becomes toxic or unhealthy. You may find yourself desperately clinging to the abuser, believing that staying in the relationship is the only way to avoid being alone or facing the unknown. The fear of abandonment can be reinforced by the abuser's manipulation tactics, which may include threats of abandonment or withdrawal of affection to keep you under their control. Overcoming this fear requires recognizing that your well-being is more important than the temporary discomfort of being alone and seeking support to break free from the cycle of trauma. It's important to understand that a healthy and loving relationship should never be rooted in the fear of abandonment. True love involves trust, respect, and the freedom to express one's individuality without the constant threat of being abandoned or rejected. Overcoming the fear of abandonment in a trauma bond requires cultivating self-worth, practicing self-care, and surrounding yourself with a support system that can provide guidance and reassurance. Remember, you deserve a relationship that is based on mutual love and respect, not one that perpetuates fear and insecurity. Breaking free from the trauma bond begins with acknowledging your own value and embracing the possibility of a healthier, more fulfilling connection. Sign 5. Excusing or justifying abusive behavior. One of the signs indicating a trauma bond is the tendency to make excuses or justify the abusive behavior of your partner. In a trauma bond, you may find yourself rationalizing their actions, believing that they will change or that you somehow deserve the mistreatment. This pattern of excusing or justifying abusive behavior often arises from a deep emotional attachment and the desire to maintain the bond at all costs. You may convince yourself that the abuser's actions are a result of their own trauma or that they are simply going through a difficult phase. However, it's essential to recognize that no amount of justification can validate or excuse abuse. Accepting and acknowledging the abusive behavior is a crucial step toward breaking free from the trauma bond and seeking a healthier, more respectful relationship. Excusing or justifying abusive behavior not only perpetuates the trauma bond but also undermines your self-worth and self-esteem. It can create a cycle where you constantly question your own perception of reality and doubt the severity of the abuse. Breaking free from this pattern requires a shift in perspective and a willingness to prioritize your well-being above all else. Seeking support from trusted friends, family, or professionals can provide the necessary guidance and validation to help you recognize that you deserve love and respect, free from any form of abuse. Remember, true love does not require excuses or justifications for mistreatment. It should always be based on kindness, empathy, and mutual understanding. Sign 6. Loss of identity. A significant sign of a trauma bond is the gradual loss of your own identity and individuality within the relationship. In a trauma bond, you may prioritize the needs and wants of your partner above your own, often neglecting your own well-being in the process. This self-neglect can lead to a loss of personal boundaries and a diminishing sense of self. You may find yourself constantly adapting to meet the demands and expectations of the abuser, losing touch with your own dreams, interests, and values. The trauma bond can make you feel dependent on the abuser for a sense of identity and purpose, further entangling you in the unhealthy dynamic. Recognizing this loss of identity is crucial in understanding that a healthy relationship should empower and support your individual growth rather than stifling it. Reclaiming your sense of self and identity in a trauma bond requires self-reflection, self-care, and establishing clear boundaries. It's important to reconnect with your own desires, passions, and values that may have been overshadowed in the relationship. Surrounding yourself with a supportive network of friends and loved ones who can help reinforce your sense of self-worth is also crucial. Remember, you are more than the trauma bond. You have the right to pursue your own happiness, dreams, and aspirations, independent of the unhealthy dynamics that have been holding you back. Breaking free from the trauma bond begins with rediscovering and embracing your own identity and making choices that align with your authentic self. Sign 7. Isolation from supportive relationships. Isolation from supportive relationships is a common sign of a trauma bond. In this type of bond, the abuser often employs manipulative tactics to isolate you from friends, family, and other individuals who may provide a source of support or perspective. They may sow seeds of doubt or create a sense of dependency, making you believe that they are the only person who truly understands you or cares about your well-being. As a result, you may gradually distance yourself from those who could potentially offer guidance or help you recognize the unhealthy nature of the relationship. The abuser thrives on this isolation, as it increases their control over you and makes it harder for you to break free from the trauma bond. Breaking the cycle of isolation requires reaching out to trusted individuals who can provide a safe space for you to express your concerns and seek guidance. These supportive relationships can offer you a different perspective, helping you recognize the patterns of abuse and manipulation. Rebuilding connections with friends and loved ones strengthens your support network and provides the necessary emotional support to break free from the trauma bond. Remember, you don't have to face the challenges of a toxic relationship alone. Reaching out to supportive individuals can be a lifeline in your journey toward healing and reclaiming your autonomy. Sign 8. Repeating unhealthy relationship patterns. A notable sign of a trauma bond is the tendency to repeat unhealthy relationship patterns. If you find yourself consistently entering into similar toxic or abusive relationships, it may indicate that you're trapped in a trauma bond. Unresolved trauma and emotional wounds can create a subconscious attraction to partners who replicate the dynamics of previous abusive relationships. This pattern arises from a familiarity with the dynamics of trauma bonds, leading to a misguided belief that this is what love looks like. It's important to recognize that repeating unhealthy relationship patterns only perpetuates the cycle of trauma and prevents you from experiencing the healthy, loving relationship you deserve.